So we went through our trades on the Playbook potty last night, and Darusi, the clever bugger, absolutely rattled me just before the show finished. He goes, gave me all these nice raps, said some kind things, and he goes, mate, why aren't you just swallowing your pride and getting Kalen Ponga in? And it's like my life turned on its head, and I just went, yeah, fair. So I had my trade plan, and it was around the idea of...
Just interrupt you quickly. Is there anything worse that can be said to you than, why don't you just swallow your pride?
Yeah.
That shits me to no end.
Big time. And
my mum and my wife have that one in their back pocket, and they know they can use it whenever and just rattle me. It
works every time.
Yeah, every time.
Live show, I just went, And what was funny is that I said I was looking at getting Watani Zelezniak in this week and nothing, say, Tyrone Peachy, and then with an eye to Tino Fasuamalawi next week. And then you go, why don't you just get KP in? There are two things into that. One is that he costs over $1 million. Yep. And I was just like, I can't do it at that point. And I look back on it now, and I was so scarred by what he did to me last year that I just dug the heels in. I'm like, screw it, because as soon as I bring him in, he's getting a concussion 3 minutes into the game. But I look back on it now, and like as Ad said, I've got the money to do it and get him in. I can go Tedesco to him. I'm like, well, everyone's got him. What am I going to achieve out of it? But is it the one where you just swallow your pride and go, he could just send me to my grave?
He's Latrell from last year for you.
He
That's exactly what he is for you.
Yeah, and it's, to this point, sure, he's hurt me, but at the same time, like, barring last week, Teddy's also had a good run, and it's not been great for obvious reasons. But if I call it now and just get him in with that brilliant run home where he probably averages 100 plus, it's like, ouch. But people only brought him in last week and the week before and the week before, so it's not like they had him for all of those tons.
I think that's what has separated you and me. That's what's got me back into it.
Yeah,
It's the compounding. You don't have Marsu either.
Yeah, I think the compound for sure. So what I'm keen to get your thoughts on is that here's the situation. Essentially, what I can do is if I get Kalen Ponga for James Tedesco, which, sweet, looks like a great trade. I'm happy to run with Teddy for the run home, but I'd prefer, obviously, Ponga. It'll likely cost me Tino just because I've got Tarpanay and Tohu in my front row, and the weak spot, which I've said for a while, is in my entire squad, is my front row bench of Fino and Pele. Neither of those boys have a bye in the run home, so it's all good in theory. I'm happy to run with those two for the run home and prioritise elsewhere, being like Kalen Ponga, Dallin, etc. I've got 5 trades going into this week, so if one of them goes down, it just means I flip one of them, or like a back row of Jules to Payne Haas or like Adam Fanua Blake, because they're 100, 130 odd K cheaper than Tino, which is fine. I want Tino, but at the end of the day, he's still a front rower and he's over 800K.
Yep.
So it'll cost me him. It'll be borderline, depending on how Ramian goes against the Bunnies, but could cost me Dallin. But the question is, do I just bite the bullet, swallow the pride, and get Ponga in? What do you reckon? Take out this chalice next to me in our head.
I don't want you to do it.
Of course,
because I think if you don't do it, I think I'll be very hard to run down from there. But mate, the way that I look at KP, plays the Dolphins this week. You know, I'm confident the Newcastle Knights score 4 tries plus in that game. He then plays the Canterbury Bulldogs. He then plays South Sydney, who's, you know, the toughest matchup there, but South Sydney are no strangers to conceding points. I'll say this as well. I'm expecting Ty Munro to be playing right wing there. Going up against Greg Marsu, if KP can just get him one-on-one, he doesn't even have to put him in space. He'll crash over. There'll be points there. Sharkies, granted, he'll be going up against that right edge, not the left edge, but the Sharkies just they're conceding points. Finishes with the Dragons on a Sunday afternoon.
I have to do it, don't I?
I think you have to do it. I personally do. Yeah.
And the beauty, look at me trying to silver line it.
Like I genuinely think he could average 100 in the next few weeks.
And I can't watch a Newcastle game.
Yep.
It's been unbearable. The beauty of it is, with 5 trades left going into this week, if he gets injured and HIA can cast 5 minutes in or whatever and he becomes a sell, it actually works out fine in the sense that because I've got trades, I can flip him out, whereas a heap of people don't have trades and can't do that. So if I do it, aside from rattling my trade plan a little bit, I can get him out. It'll only cost me one extra trade. Because say I was to go like Teddy to maybe Walsh or something, I'd be going Teddy to Ponga and then Ponga to Walsh or whoever it might be. So it cost me one extra trade. So, mate, I think I'm just going to bite the bullet.
In his last 6 games, he's gone below 90 once.
I'm aware of his run. I'm aware of his history.
And that was against Penrith where he still scored 50.
As I said, he's hurt me a lot the last month or so when people have flocked, but he can just put a knife through my season if I don't get him in. So I think I'm just going to bite the bullet and get Kalen Ponga.
Tough spot to be. God, it sucks buying $1 million player. But
yeah, it does. But again, this is the beauty of I've set my side up. I've got depth across the board, except front row forward. I've got money in the bank. I've got trades. I can do it. If I hadn't set myself up, I'd be going, at this stage, I can't pay over $1 million for him.
Is there any way for you to get to Mars as well? Or is that just too much? Like, can you downgrade anyone?
There's ways, but I'm happy to not go all in on it. Like, put it this way, Ponga's so highly owned, Marju's at like 80%. I'm happy not to go both of them. I'd love Marju, but I'm thinking next week pod route of Dallin. I wanted Dallin this week, but I said we'll find out this weekend, but I can hopefully go Ramey and straight to Dallin in one trade next week.
So right now, do you think you're going to go KP?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think I have to. I really do.
Yeah, fair shout. My trades this week, I am thinking that I will go Jack Tabellin to Ryan Madison, and then I think I'm going to go Val to Gagai.
DeBellin to Madison, Val to Gagai.
I've got a potential eye on a pod for next week trading out. So Gutho plays the Dragons this week. I'm going to take that good matchup. Heading into next week. Do we assume Ryan Madison's going to play left edge?
I don't know. I think it's... I really don't know because Cardi's obviously been playing on the right.
Yep. Cardi started on the left this year, didn't he?
Yeah, and I feel as though Madison has played the majority of his footy on the right edge. Yep. So I'm thinking probably goes to the right. Yeah. You prefer him on the left outside D.
I just think, do you want to put Bryce Cartwright out there defending with Bailey Simonson and those guys? that's my only... I wonder if they'd
You'd also be putting him with Dill Brown, though, who's a beast.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to lead to and say. If Ryan Madison's on the left edge, I will seriously consider Dill Brown next week. That interests me a lot. If he's playing left edge.
Who are you 5'8"?
At the moment, I've got KP and Walker, so I'd move KP to fullback. Oh,
that's right, yeah, Munster.
And then I'd downgrade Gutho to Dill Brown, which would then leave me with enough cash in 2 weeks' time, in next week to get Tino as well. So that's my...
So then Mad Dog Munster delivers me the title?
Potentially, yeah. Well, it's either going to be Dill Brown or Munster for me, one of the two.
Yeah.
But I would only consider Dill Brown if Maddo's playing left edge. And even then, I would still have to toss it. He's obviously got the bye. Cam Munster doesn't, so...
Yeah, I am a very happy Maddo owner. Is there any concern that Para playing the second last game of the round, he goes back to the bench and plays 50?
Oh, yeah, quite possibly, but fuck knows.
I mean, even then, he's still rock solid.
Yeah, I'll give you the hot tip. The one thing I won't be predicting is what Brad Arthur does with his interchange. Yeah. So
don't lose sleep over it.
Yeah. So, I will bring in Maddo and Gagai. What are your thoughts on the Gagai one? I just think at 2%, very few people are going to be able to bring him in, probably outside of Val owners, to be fair. But I think that people will try and go a little bit cheaper with the Val swap to free up cash elsewhere. But
yeah, mate, how do you knock the numbers that he's just out? He's averaging 72, 73 points, and they've got a dream run home, so why not?
Yeah, and that's the thing I'm looking at. I've got Campbell Graham this week going up against that Sharkies left edge, which I'm excited about, and then Gagai in round 26 goes up against that left edge as well. So
outstanding.
Yeah, that's a matchup that I'm targeting.
Graham's got a big one in him this week.
Yeah, I need him to have a big one this week because last week was frustrating.
You busted him.
Yeah.